This is CBC Vancouver News.
I really hope there's no precious cargo behind these areas, but certainly we can imagine that there is.
Tonight on CBC Vancouver News, a sea of luggage, how delays and cancellations at other airports are causing more chaos at YVR.
He's the king of the soccer.
And remembering a soccer giant, what made Pele so special on a global scale and his impact on British Columbians. Plus,
keeps, things out of landfill. It keeps stuff going. It's important. It's kind of the future.
Holding off on tossing out how to repair those tattered threads. Good evening, I'm Zahra Premji. Thanks for joining us on our final 11 p.m. newscast of the year. Dan is away tonight. Well, tonight, the travel chaos at YVR continues. The airport is now being affected by mass cancellations and delays at other airports across Canada and abroad. That's resulting in a massive backlog of unclaimed luggage, now in the thousands. As Michelle Gassoub reports, passengers are being warned it could take days to clear the backlog of suitcases left behind.
Behind the white barricades at YVR's arrivals area, what looks like a luggage graveyard. Thousands of suitcases unclaimed by their owners. And inside, the hunt is on.
We got 3 bags and then the 4th one just missed the plane, I think.
While it's mostly business as usual in the departures area, the airport is now being affected by cancellations and delays in other cities, with luggage arriving long before or after the people who checked it in. YVR estimates there are currently 2,500 pieces of unclaimed luggage at the airport, though that number is fluctuating by the hour.
So what we're seeing is passengers arriving at YVR on flights that don't have that check bag on them.
It's not a total free-for-all, more like organized chaos. These white barricades that were originally brought in to provide privacy during COVID testing are now keeping luggage safe.
We're not inviting passengers to come and just search.
WestJet bags are behind one white wall and Air Canada suitcases behind the other.
There is a system in place where with your boarding pass and with that ticket that you get when you check your bag, that's how we're able to make the connection between where it is and then work with you to then go find that piece of luggage.
Passengers are being asked to make a claim with their airline to start the process of being reunited with their possessions.
I flew to my mom's house and I bring back like a bunch of my old stuff, so it's a bunch of like memory stuff actually.
Ski boots, so we can't go skiing without this bag.
And when someone in the long Air Canada luggage claim line does find their bag in the sea of others,
Oh my God! There's hope. Okay, there's hope.
There was hope. All right, let me take that from you. You should see behind that barricade. It's like a sea of suitcases.
Cheers of relief from everyone in the same boat. Michelle Gassoub, CBC News, Vancouver.
And speaking of lost items, a family in Nanaimo is on the hunt for a special item that hasn't shown up after their flight back to BC on Christmas Eve. Marshall and Lyndon Irwin were handed a hockey stick by Canucks captain Bo Horvat during a game in Edmonton the day before.
When we arrived at the airport and the stick wasn't there, it was pretty gut-wrenching for us. We went to the customer service desk and filled out a Flair lost bag report, but weren't feeling really optimistic in that moment. But thankfully, at least we'd made it home for Christmas Eve, so we were trying to count our blessings as we could.
A couple days later, their mom reached out to the Canucks online and got a response from the team saying they were working on getting the boys another hockey stick. This one actually signed by Horvat, and today a surprise video message.
Hey Marshall, hey Lennon. I heard you guys lost your stick flying the other day. I'm gonna make sure you guys got another one on the way. So as long as you keep cheering for the Canucks, we'll see you guys soon.
A Flair Airlines spokesperson tells CBC the airlines team is working on tracking down the NHL stick and are confident it will be found. Meanwhile, State says the Canucks made the boys Christmas. Now to a story that's vibrated internationally today. A man often referred to as the king of soccer has died. Brazilian soccer legend Pele lost his battle with cancer, but as Aaron Collins shows us, Pele's legacy stretches far beyond the field.
A soccer legend so big, he only needed one name, Pele. Born Edson Arantes do Nascimento in 1940, nicknamed Pele as a child, he was made to play football. The Brazilian star began his professional career as a teenager, going on to score nearly a goal a game, astonishing, especially for a career spanning 3 decades. But it was on the international stage where Pele truly made his mark, winning the World Cup with Brazil a record 3 times. A global icon, lured to the U.S. to play out his career and boost the sport there. An ambassador for a sport he dominated after he retired, working to grow the game.
It's important you know how you kick the ball, how you pass the ball.
Even offering tips to make soccer more popular in Canada nearly 25 years ago.
This takes a little time to when you start to get big star, big name in the game, then the people come to support, no doubt.
Those stars have finally arrived. The brightest, sometimes compared to the Brazilian star, led Canada back to the World Cup. And as Pele predicted, Canadian fans followed.
I'm here to enjoy the fact that Canada's in the World Cup finally. Because that's what it's all about, right?
You know, first World Cup goal, you know, I think the place is going to erupt.
Pele's play inspiring football fans and players around the world and across generations.
He set a great precedent for what world-class truly looks like. And I think everybody else has tried to live up to that since then.
He was a personality with global reach, one that transcended his sport.
President, this is the short Brazilian team who has 4 World Cup, the only one in the world.
Well, this is a priceless gift.
As Pele's health deteriorated, supporters prayed for the superstar, drawn to the hospital where he spent his final days. In life, Pele changed the game he nearly perfected, but as the first soccer superstar of the television era, his true legacy may be showcasing the beautiful game all around the world. Aaron Collins, CBC News, Calgary.
And we spoke with people at the Portuguese Club of Vancouver today about the Brazilian soccer star.
For everybody that follows the soccer these days, because he's the king of the soccer. And every time that you go to Brazil, there's nobody on the streets that will know Pele. And entire world, everybody knows Pele.
You know, as I believe you brought the game to another level, make it accessible for a lot of people in Brazil. And I'll be remembered by that, not just in the field, but also off the field.
I was 9 years old. I was living in Lima at the time, and that was the first time that we actually had color TV, and it was the 1970 World Cup, and that was my first impression of Pele in the World Cup in Mexico, and it was just great. It was an impression that lasted forever, and as many people mentioned here, it's just a beautiful game, and he will be missed.
That he will be. Well, Canada's Governor General Mary Simon has announced 99 new appointments and promotions to the Order of Canada. Retired BC soccer player and Olympic bronze medalist Karina LeBlanc is among the crew.
But this wouldn't be possible without this country, and just being recognized amongst such incredible human beings and knowing how special Canadians are. Yeah, I'm still processing it, but I'm so honored.
CBC journalist and former curling world champion Colleen Jones is also an appointee. Hockey player Sidney Crosby, former CBC journalist Brian Stewart, and astronaut David St. Jacques are being inducted as officers of the Order of Canada, the second highest rank. Well, with the World Juniors taking place in Halifax, protesters are determined to keep the public's attention on Hockey Canada and the settlements it has paid over allegations of sexual assault. Karen Pauls looks into the impact on the organization's image.
Are you happy with hockey culture the way it is?
Activists gathered to shame Hockey Canada outside the arena before Team Canada's game with Austria.
We have not forgotten about the allegations of sexual assault by junior hockey players. And it's a real problem for women, and it's a real problem for decent young men who want to play hockey and who don't want to be part of a culture that treats women as objects to be used and discarded.
Most major sponsors pulled their support from Team Canada and the tournament after it was revealed that Hockey Canada has settled sexual assault claims using money from registration fees. Police are investigating at least 2 separate alleged group sexual assaults involving former Team Canada junior hockey players between 2003 to 2018.
they become very big stars in a very young age. So they have to just do better.
This Swedish journalist says the scandal is resonating internationally. Hockey Canada's reputation hit hard.
I think a lot of people get to see like a darker side of it, and they kind of feel like this is just a bad thing around Hockey Canada.
But experts say a successful event in Halifax and Moncton could rehabilitate its reputation.
With the passage of time and with the absence of future scandals, people will eventually say, all right, it was an isolated event.
The scandal is not what most hockey fans here are focusing on.
What's your focus today?
Well, the game, of course. Hope they beat the tar out of them. But
Go Canada!
Hockey Canada isn't commenting on this rally or its international reputation, but all profits from its 50-50 draw at this tournament are going towards local programs, including sexual violence education and women and girls hockey. Karen Pauls, CBC News, Halifax.
Back here in BC, we take a look at dramatic visuals of a fire in Nanaimo, where flames had engulfed a house this morning. What was once a beloved family home turned into an inferno. Crews were called to respond just after 3:15 this morning at Bowen and Latimer Roads. 2 people had to escape and are safe, but they've lost a lot.
It's gone. Yeah. My mom's and dad's ashes were in there, my sister and her boyfriend, and I don't know how many other people were in the house.
Buck says her family had lived in the home for many years. Investigators are still trying to figure out the cause of the fire. Well, it's a time of year when a lot of new stuff can show up at home, but that doesn't mean you have to get rid of the old, especially when it comes to worn-out clothing. Our Johanna Wagstaffe is looking at ways to hold off on tossing those tattered threads.
Leather jackets, sandals, even Valentinos. If it's broken, this studio in East Vancouver wants to fix it.
We've seen thousands of items every month, and we're keeping all of those items out of a landfill.
Metro Vancouver residents throw out an average 8 kilos of clothes every year. That's the weight of about 44 t-shirts. And Return It Depot stopped accepting textiles earlier this year.
I think that you can buy new shoes every 6 months to a year, but when you choose to repair it, you're making a choice that these are my boots and I want to keep wearing them.
Over in Richmond, Renew specializes in repairing outdoor gear.
I was also part of a waste management project in my previous company. We talked to a lot of local waste management team for waterproof fabric. They all saying waterproof fabric is like plastic, so there's no better way to recycle them instead of only going to incineration.
He repairs the kind of clothes you see a lot on the West Coast. Down jackets, waterproof pants, and also ski gear.
I think the best way, if the material cannot be fully recycled, the best way is to make the user life longer. That's the reason why I started this company.
Buying new clothes comes with more than one kind of cost. Up to 8% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions are from the textile industry, according to the UN.
There's just no way we can keep going the way we are in terms of the amount of waste that we're creating as a society.
This Vancouver consultant wants to make it easier for retailers to offer repairs to their customers by selling them something he calls a renewal service.
Talking about repair, maintenance, alterations, and then refurbishment for resale. It allows the retailer to offer these services, but without taking on the load of the complex operations. Making it easy and streamlined and convenient is so crucial.
But even as these businesses want to help mend your clothes, it's a skill they also encourage learning.
We're really excited to see people that do repair their own things.
The repair isn't just something that other people do, it's something that you can do yourself if you're looking for a new career or even just a fun new hobby at home.
Keeps, things out of landfill, it keeps stuff going. It's important, it's kind of the future.
A future where the clothes we wear have a little more history. Johanna Wagstaffe, CBC News, Vancouver.
Influential Vancouver rock music critic Tom Harrison has died. He's remembered as a titan of his industry who shaped the local music scene. As Joel Ballard reports, friends say he could identify huge music acts long before they became mainstream.
DOA frontman Joe Keithley remembers the first article Tom Harrison ever wrote about his former band, The Skulls.
He wrote this article in The Straight and said, "The Skulls are undoubtedly Vancouver's most hated band." And we went, oh, well, that's pretty good press, right?
The two men became lifelong friends, bonding over everything from music and hockey to beer. Harrison recently died over the holidays, leaving behind a legacy as an industry legend who helped shape Canada's music landscape.
He knew more about music than the next 10 people put together.
His career as a music critic began at the Georgia Straight. He then joined the Province newspaper, where he stayed for 37 years. Industry experts say Harrison's finger was always on the pulse.
Tom had this ability to cut to the quick and, just sense what was important and also timely, or what was going to be timely.
A critic who could be found at every live performance, unswayed by the corporate music machine.
He always found time to sort of tip a hat to a smaller artist. And those smaller artists, we're talking Bryan Adams, Sarah McLachlan, Skinny Puppy. He was writing about them quite a bit before everybody else.
Harrison also left a lasting impression on his colleagues at the Province.
He was such a big champion, but also so fair. He could be very critical, but it was also very fair.
But he was more than just a music critic, also a musician in his own right, an athlete, a friend, and a husband.
He was kind.
He was a very, very happy-go-lucky kind of a guy.
Long live Tom Harrison. He is the best.
Joel Ballard, CBC News, Vancouver.
And fashion designer Vivienne Westwood died at age 81 today. According to the official Twitter account, Westwood died surrounded by family in London. She was most known for incorporating punk rock elements into her designs and for using the Sovereign Orb iconography as a logo. Well, Russia's latest missile strikes against Ukraine, the cities they've hit and the cost to people on the ground. More on this story after the break. Thanks for sticking with us during our commercial-free live stream. In August last year, the Taliban took control of Afghanistan after the U.S. and its allies withdrew. Afghan embassies around the world had their funding cut off. In Ottawa, the embassy staff members who are left say they now work double duty to provide consulate services to immigrants and refugees in Canada and the U.S.
My name is Mohammad Naeem Ayubzada, and I'm a newcomer from Afghanistan. And I arrived this year, February 9, 2022. I used to work as a director of an organization in Afghanistan, led by me there, and I had more than 10,000 staff working in all 34 provinces of Afghanistan. And our mandate was to work for a strengthening of democratic processes in Afghanistan. I had a commitment to my people, I had a commitment to my family, and I had the commitment to my organizations. But this time, all those intimidations, attacks, Taliban took the power. So we were forced to make such a decision and leave the country and came here as an immigrant. We didn't carry out anything. We left our money, our documents, everything we had, we left it in Afghanistan. We didn't have all the complete documents with us when we left the country. So here, in order to integrate or resettle, so you have to go through a process to validate number of documents. One of the issue was about my driver license. I had no idea how to process that, so when I visited the embassy, so they provided us guidance on how this works. So now I have the full G license from Canada, which I can drive, the highway here. Even I can work with organizations, and if I am willing to do Uber, I can do that as well. I know it's not easy for the embassy to function like this. Still, they are committed to work. And I would like to thank them from the bottom of my heart, because we do really need their services.
Russia launched wide-ranging missile strikes against Ukraine this morning, hitting cities from one end of the country to another. The CBC's Katie Nicholson takes this look at the damage inflicted today and at the progress of a war with still no end in sight.
Cats roam bewildered through a shattered home in Zaporizhia. I woke up to everything shaking, crumbling, she said. Dozens of Russian missiles rained down on Ukraine in a morning attack. In Kyiv, half this house left standing, coats still hanging on hooks inside, the other half tumbling into a crater. We heard the explosions and started running to the cellar. We barely made it, she says. Ukraine was quick to reassure its people, saying it intercepted 54 of the 69 missiles, calling it a significant success of anti-air defense. Perhaps, but there were tense moments, as Belarus claims it had to intercept one of those Ukrainian missiles, its debris scattered near a village on the border, and it demanded an explanation.
It's very difficult to say right now whether it was indeed the Ukrainian missile or the Russian missile.
Either way, says this analyst, it's doubtful Belarus will enter the fray.
Because they wouldn't be able to contribute much, but they would have much more to lose.
Before the attack on Wednesday, Russia's foreign minister was unblinking. We are determined, Sergei Lavrov said, to ensure the fulfillment of the goals of a special military operation. One of its goals, at least partially successful, critical infrastructure damaged in Kyiv.
Right now, 40% of our citizens no electricity.
In Lviv, 90% were without power. While in Kharkiv, cell video shows part of the electric grid up in flames. This 79-year-old barely survived the morning's attack. I have no words, he said. It's a crime against humanity. No power, and now no home. But still the will, the anger to survive. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, London.
All right, here's a live shot of Cambie Street towards Vancouver City Hall. Johanna will have your full forecast next.
Was the site of the 1958 final between Brazil and the host country Sweden. Normally reserved, the Swedes were vocal in their support of their home team. The Brazilians were led by a 17-year-old phenom by the name of Pele. Surprisingly, it was the underdog Swedes who scored first. Nils Lidholm beats Brazilian keeper Gilmar. But the Brazilians strike back quickly. Garrincha's cross finds Vava, and it was 1-1. Then a replay of the first goal as Vava, again the goal scorer. Brazil takes a 2-1 lead. Second half, Pele scores one of the all-time great goals. It was 3-1 Brazil. 13 minutes from time, Zagallo breaks in on the left side to score Brazil's fourth, and they let it 4-1. However, the Swedes get one more, but Pele puts it away, soaring to head in his second of the game. 5-2 the final score for Brazil as they win their first World Cup, a stunning achievement for the country and its young 17-year-old superstar who was overcome with emotion. That superstar named Pele.
Edson Arantes do Nascimento, known to the world as Pele, here leading Brazil to the World Cup Soccer Championship in Mexico, 1970.
I fight in college with the kids because, no, my name is Edson, they call me Pele. I got 2 days suspended in the school. Then everybody in school, all the kids start to call me Pele. I hate that time. Today I love, of course. Now I love because, I don't know, God gave it to me. Short name, easy to pronounce it, any language you can remember, Pele. Because my name is Edson Arantes do Nascimento. This is hard to remember, no? And then today I love Pele.
Pele with a hard shot into the goal! A shot into the goal! Pele has scored in his last half for the Cosmos! And this is what today is all about! music is auld lang syne, but it isn't New Year's Eve because there's no tomorrow in the career of Pele. No New Year coming, not as far as that playing career is concerned. But we said the story was about love today. And there it is. The love of the man for the people, the love of the people for the man, the kind of a hero.
If you get the gift from God to play, if you be in good shape, nobody stop you. Then I try to do this all my life. That's, I think, something who I feel very proud of me, because I try to give my best, to give the best for the people, for the crowd. Then God was very nice with me.
The weather update is brought to you by Direct Buy Furnace, installing the most reliable heating and cooling brand. It's hard to stop a train.
All right, it's time to bring in our resident meteorologist, Johanna Wagstaffe. You're back here, and I think you're bringing in a day with no warnings for me, aren't you?
Yes, I am. This is my happy holidays to you, Zahra. The first day in quite some time that I'm showing you a blank map. These are the watches and warnings in place across BC, and if you can believe it or not, we do not have any other than an avalanche, BC avalanche, a public warning for backcountry over the next couple of days. But as far as weather goes, we're not void of it. We do have another wet day in the forecast, but it isn't the severe weather, although we are still dealing with the repercussions of the melting snow and that freeze-thaw cycle. This is the low-pressure system that's bringing that rain ramping up as we speak to the south coast. We saw general showers today, steady at times. Tomorrow it's going to be a little heavier. And look for some gusty winds tomorrow morning, 30 to 50 kilometers per hour coming in from the south. I'm going to pause you at 11 a.m. We'll see waves, so heavy at 11 a.m. especially up towards the North Shore, Tri-Cities, and pretty steady right through to the afternoon. But taking you into Saturday, it'll take a while for things to clear out, maybe some lingering showers in the morning, but then we'll see that sunshine peeking through for the second half of the day. So as far as rainfall totals, expect another 40 millimeters for Metro Vancouver, 20 to 40, much less as we head down towards Delta, Richmond, and much more up towards the northeast. We're seeing a few flurries in towards Prince George, lots of sunshine up towards the northeast, sort of a break for the interior before you get that system, sort of some snow overnight. Prince George, look at 2 centimeters before you see that sunshine at the freezing mark tomorrow in Kelowna, and you've got a couple centimeters as we speak. Okay, so get through one more wet day, and here's your break. I think we deserve this one. Seeing some sunshine on both days. Look for those scattered showers in the morning on Saturday. Temperatures coming down a little bit to start next week. We'll see a few showers and then a big warm up, but Zahra, no major system, and that is a relief.
I know my mom wanted to wear heels on New Year's Eve, but I think you're going to tell me to wear both, boots and heels, right?
Yeah, bring the boots, but I endorse heels. You heard it from me.
Thank you, Jo.
You're welcome.
All right, that's your late news for tonight and your last late news for 2022. Thanks for joining us every night. Now, before you let the head hit the pillow, take one last scroll through what else is making headlines. You know where to go, cbc.ca/BC. And remember to have fun, stay safe, and stay warm. Have a great night.